At Chris Kaler Holistic, we demonstrate real healing and real caring to your health issues and needs. Our solution for you is an alternative to the alternative. Our out-of-the-box treatment methods are aimed to your specific well-being and are quite different than most. Venturing down the realm of quantum energy healing, Chris uses unique modalities of healing, such as spiritual intervention with pendulum dowsing, sacred geometry tools such as the neutralization, divinity, and sun ring. Another tool Chris uses is a 5-tiered pyramid affectionately known as the Silver Light Pyramid to activate quantum activity within the body. Also, Chris Kaler Holistic uses radionic technologies in various platforms with specific liquid mineral ionics to balance out excesses and deficiencies within the body. At Chris Kaler Holistic, our goal is to get tangible and measurable results in the least amount of time possible so you can carry on with what's important in your life. Another advantage to this unique energy healing is that it can be done at a distance healing session. So location is not a barrier and can be done conveniently at your home, office, just about anywhere through Skype or telephone conferencing. Eliminate costly protocols, expensive monthly supplements, high-priced allopathic operations, invasive surgeries, and dubious medication applications that keep you trapped in a financial and health rat race. Get a specific, customized, out-of-the-box solution tailored for your health recovery. At Chris Kaler Holistic, we are warm welcoming and want to put you at ease with your visit to us. Please visit www.chriskaler.net for further information as we welcome your questions and inquiries to starting this unique journey. At Chris Kaler Holistic, we want to show you that we are the alternative to the alternative and the out-of-the-box solution to customize an answer for you to spend less and gain more in your high vibrancy journey. Visit www.chriskaler.net. Real healing and real caring to your health needs.
Oh yeah, let me introduce to the world Mr. Chris Kaler.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another rip-roaring edition of A Quantum View, coming to you live from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. I am Chris Kaler. We got a room full of people here tonight, don't we, Bob?
Oh, yes you do.
I need to go on a rant. Am I the only one?
No.
Holly, am I the only one?
No, you're not.
Never.
I'm right there behind you.
I'm right behind her.
Am I the only one who sees that there's something going on? I don't know. I'm beside myself with that. Nobody's saying anything. And then you've got NASA that's releasing all kinds of videos about UFO and stuff, and which is, to me, is like, whatever, another one. Holly and I had this conversation last night, but, you know, all of a sudden there's all these releases of videos, and everybody's like, oh, okay. We're so dumbed down and numb about everything and anything. If Mr. E.T. came and landed on this planet and said, take me to your leader, would say, hold on, I'm having lunch. Don't worry about it. We are just in such a state right now. The awakening process is still asleep, I think. I don't know. Anyways, there's my little rant. For me, it just lit off a big light bulb saying, hey, there's something going on here that we need to address. It does not happen. 2 false missile oopsies. It does not happen. Get off that for a minute. I'm done ranting. Okay. Our show tonight is Understanding Our Multi-Dimensional Reality. Now, a little bit about our special guest, Dr. Bernard Alvarez. I've been on his show a couple of times. You got a great show, Bernard. Okay, Bernard is a world-renowned spiritual consciousness teacher and intuitive, also a certified Reiki master, ordained minister, a doctor of metaphysics, author of Book of One, and was featured in the film Collective Evolution 3, The Shift. He offers personal, intuitive, spiritual mentoring and counseling, as well as courses and workshops on one's higher self, soul journeys, and the path to divine awareness. With expertise in philosophy, healing mysticism, and metaphysics, he helps one gain the clarity they are seeking. host of the Just Bernard Show, which boasts an archive of over 300 shows and interviews with many of the leading voices in activism and consciousness, such as Rupert Sheldrake, John Trudell, Miriam Delicado, Laura Eisenhower, Brian Forster, and Chris Kaler. Famous for his authentic and often irreverent approach, some of his 300-plus videos include What's Blocking Your Chi Energy, Remember Why You Are Here, and Activating Your Pineal Gland and Psychic Ability. As a sacred activist, Bernard sees there must be a balance in creating outward change as well as an internal spiritual change. His website is www.bernardalvarez.com. Please welcome to A Quantum View, Dr. Bernard. How are you, my friend?
Well, hello, Chris. What a pleasure to be on your show. It's so great to talk to you.
A little bit of tit for tat now, right? Yes,
I love it. I love it.
Keeping it in the family.
Yeah, right?
Turnabout.
We're doing turnabout. I like it.
Let's bring on Holly. Holly, how are you?
I'm great, Chris. Thank you. Great to be here.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And then Ty and Nora are also here from Energy Wellness.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
We are perfect. I'm glad I got that off my chest because it's been burning a hole into my heart all day long.
That's a whole separate show, man.
That's a whole separate show. So tonight we're going to have a big, good old-fashioned around the campfire chinwag about multi-dimensional reality. Okay, Bernard, in your view, what would you consider multi-dimensional reality? Because ultimately, that's a kind of a term that could certainly have a lot of different meanings to a lot of different people.
It certainly can, Chris, and thank you for asking. You know, for me, multidimensional reality actually is reality. I believe that we have been programmed and our consciousness has been suppressed to such a point that we are not even aware of the infinite possibilities within our lives, the different timelines that we can create on our own. And the reality of it is that what we're giving attention to is only one possible reality and one possible dimension that we are living in. So for me, it's just a matter of it's all one. It really is all one. All these parallel realities are one. It's just what are we paying attention to?
You set off in your day, and instead of going left, you go right, and you find yourself in another parallel. You find yourself doing something to the right instead of something to the left.
Absolutely. And I definitely believe they all exist simultaneously. It's just a matter of what we give attention to. Quantum physics has shown this. The way that quantum particles react is a matter of the perceiver.
We can change that perception of things anytime we feel like it.
Absolutely. We saw a great example of that during 2012. All these horrible timelines were being projected onto humanity, and some really bad stuff could have happened. But we have the ability as a collective to kind of change that timeline on a collective scale.
You're basically preaching to the choir to all of this.
Of course.
I mean, that certainly is our practice on a daily basis. Now, there's somebody in the room who I know definitely has perception of the multidimensional reality. Ty, tell me a little bit of how you feel it works for you.
Oh, wow.
No pressure.
No pressure. Well, I mean, when we're doing the healings and through experience, I've just done as much research into like ancient esoteric stuff to see what they feel about different levels of reality. And then when we're healing, I kind of just douse and then, use that. Now, from an experiential thing, I've had a lot of pretty interesting forks in reality. Having, like a change of consciousness and then seeing other beings that are right in the same physical space as other people, call them entities, whatever. There's different levels of the abyss, probably levels of source, different planes of existence. There's different, it's a really big study, really.
Let me give an example of multidimensional reality. Let's go back 13 years. Before I was doing this work. So my first wife passes away. I have an opportunity to retire at 47 years old, so I took that opportunity. So now I don't have any path. My path is wide open. So what I did is I started going down the path and learning to be a personal trainer. I was going to get into the gym, and I used to love going to the gym. And I thought, well, I need to do something with my life. Let's become a personal trainer. So I started going down that path. And then I found all of this interesting energy light work. So I thought, oh my goodness, this is interesting. I paid a couple $1,000s for this course to take, and I just stopped dead within it and chose to take this other path, which is a different dimension of reality. You got one type of work and then you got the other. That is basically the difference in dimension of reality. Is you could have taken one way, not been attached anyway or connected anyway to spirituality, but I chose the other path. So that is a dimensional shift. That's a paradigm shift, if you want to call it, where you're making these decisions. And we make these decisions on a daily basis as to go left, go right, go up, go down, take this job, take that job, take no job. The paradigms are basically another way to say the word dimension. Anybody?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
No, absolutely. Also, what is in your heart? What is it that you're thinking about? What your energy is emanating is where you can open many different types of dimensions, and you can be in this dimension, but totally having many different realities happening at once. And then you see other people going through their lives, and then you see yourself. I see myself in a total different realm than they are. And it's just because I'm choosing to tap into a more divine realm. And so it's very interesting is what your heart is emanating is where you will open the doors to.
Bernard, when we see people that are living in a low level of vibration, people who are always very sick, always dragging their sorry butts around, always talking negative, do you see these people in what we would call possibly a lower dimension?
Well, if we're looking at it in the paradigm of the idea that there are different vibrationary levels of reality, then yes, of course, it does give us the possibility to elevate our reality through raising our vibration. But we also have to take into consideration the process of it all, whether you want to call it the dharma, the path of this person needs to go through this in order to elevate their state of mind. And let's not even throw in there the transdimensional entities, the guides and the ETs and all that might be manipulating it either to help or to harm them. So there's a lot that goes into that. So I really try to do my best not to victimize these people or even to acknowledge them as victims, but rather those people that are just going through a learning process. And they need to be where they need to be in order for them to evolve.
Well, now, Holly went into a parallel dimension on a BMX bike the other night, didn't she?
Oh my gosh. You know what? That hurt so bad. I thought my shoulder was giving birth. It hurt so bad.
Oh, Holly's got a son and her husband are very big into BMX biking. I guess Holly decided you better keep it in the family for some reason.
Well, okay, so I actually did my first race 2 weeks ago in Washington. I was fine. And then we went down to Vegas for these big national races, and I went to the local track, and I got on somebody else's bike. It was too light, and I just jackknifed it, and full force went down on my shoulder. But amazingly, I did a lot of meditation that night. I actually thought I broke my shoulder. The force was that bad, and like collarbone breaks are the number one injury. But I actually did a ton of meditation that night, and I called on everybody of the light to help my shoulder, and I'm actually doing really well with it. I actually want to do really. I'm doing well. It still hurts, but going back to what Nora said a few minutes ago about what your heart emanates is where you are, and she said the crucial word. She said choice. It's a choice, and so with my accident, it's I did, and with everything, it's a choice, and so I'm choosing to heal very rapidly.
That's a very good choice, I must say myself. We got a question from Cassandra. Does the panel feel that reality is almost in competition for which reality is kept on the consciousness of the masses?
I agree with the question in the sense that our hearts, our personal individual evolution, our connection with Source is pushing us toward human empowerment and infinite possibilities. However, as I like to say, the greatest conspiracy against humanity is the suppression of consciousness, and that conspiracy is ongoing.
The Illuminatis, the elites, the corporations, the reptilians, everybody's in there trying to keep humanity at a very low level of consciousness. Keep you within that paradigm of you're allowed to know this much today and that's it. We're not going to tell you anything more. But we are certainly stepping into another reality, another dimensional reality, that there is a lot more information, a lot more knowledge out there that we can tap into.
Definitely.
Yes. Hear, hear, yes.
That is coming very quickly, and I'm seeing it daily. Again, within the work I'm doing, is that we're getting so deep into things that it's almost scary, but it's also very exciting too. Ty, what are you seeing changing within your work with the realities?
Virtual reality, the quantum computers appear to be making basically virtual simulations, and I feel like on a radionic level, they're kind of entangling people running through different simulations. So let's say someone is riding their bike and they fall down in the simulation, and in another simulation they don't fall down. And the a million different variations on a kind of like a quantum entanglement level that might possibly be affecting people. So I try to disconnect them from these kind of synthetic realities.
These quantum entanglements are happening in different timelines, let's say, and there could be a lot of, let's say, artificial intelligent manipulation, a lot of ET manipulation, where they're, let's say, using us as pawns, using us within, let's say, a quantum war, some kind of empowerment struggle. And so if you get hit with a laser beam at a quantum level, you get a sore eye at this level.
Yeah, pretty much.
Absolutely, yeah.
And, I don't necessarily think it's very healthy for, other people to be running simulations of you. Especially when they're violent or maybe not for your highest good. So it is, I would recommend most people, on an intent level to disconnect themselves from these simulations.
Let's take that concept. So now we've got a dimensional reality where something is happening to you here and you're sitting here. To the layman, what the heck does that mean to disconnect?
Well, just to make the simple intent not to be connected to that scenario. In our work, we just say, quantum scenario false. Just that simple. It's a mental decision and intent to be not direct quantum entanglement or direct causality with whatever these guys are projecting. Like video games, they're like almost running a video game, and on some level you're connected to it.
Okay, does the panel think about technology trying mimic reality in all these video games, viewing media like TVs? Why do they want to hijack or capture our reality? Is there a connection with us and a lot of this technology? Now, one thing that I do find within certain people is that if you're addicted to playing a certain video game, now your consciousness, your source self, your soul is in that game. And if you get hurt in that game, it can affect you not so much physically, but emotionally, mentally, and cause rifts within your timelines.
Yes.
I agree with that 1,000%.
I have found in a client that was addicted to pornography, and they were taking parts of his soul, and it was being somehow quantumly put in Hollywood. So I had to go all the way to Hollywood and retrieve that part of his soul.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Hollywood is full of the ritual type thing. Bernard, what do you normally see with people and the concept of TVs and being interactive that way?
Well, let me just say that I certainly agree that technology can be helpful, especially when it comes to educating those on spiritual, how shall we say, theories and whatnot. The problem I find with technology, pornography, video games, and even Facebook is the reality of it is that we must always remember that this particular 3D, 3.5D, 4D reality is still merely an illusion. And when we are taking it personally, when we are being reactive, when we are not being objective and looking at everything subjectively, when we are identifying with that icon on Facebook, when we are identifying with the avatar on a video game, then we are connecting ourselves energetically. We're creating that link in our reality with that reality, and it is going to affect all of those parallel realities. So I feel it's all technology is not evil. It's a matter of how we use it, and it's a matter of being proactive in how we use it versus reactive.
Yeah, because you can easily get involved emotionally, mentally with a lot of the things going on. Let's not use the word addiction, but the person who always has to be watching the news. You're interconnected at a dimensional level with what's going on in certain areas of the world, and that could cause depression, that can cause anxiety, and that could cause all of these emotions to stir up, and then boy oh boy, those reptilians get a good meal now, don't they, Holly?
Yes.
Absolutely, and I am fully I'm not fully on board that humans are at a balanced enough state to use technology wisely.
Yeah.
I think that we are addicted to the dopamine release that we're getting. I think we're pressured to have the latest and greatest information that's causing us to totally disconnect from source. And I think that if we don't get a handle on our inner wounds and heal them, that the dimensional reality of what AI is doing is going to wipe out the biological timeline.
Here, here.
That's certainly a concept.
It's said that technology has evolved faster than human consciousness, and that's where the issue lies.
Yeah, if you look at where computers were 20 years ago, basically ground zero for going out to the store and buying a computer. And now, if you haven't got a computer, well, there's something wrong with you. If you haven't got a cell phone, there's something wrong with you.
There's something wrong with me.
I just got my first smartphone this year, like 3 or 4 months ago. I've never had a smartphone, and the only reason why I got it so I can find directions when I get lost.
So there's a perfect example on how you use that technology. You're not what do they call it, zombie texting. You're walking along the road with your head down, and you're texting. So you're using it. You're using it as a tool, not as a crutch.
Absolutely. And there's something to be said for that. What you just said about zombie texting, there is something very wrong with our society when people are walking in front of cars or crashing into people while they're driving because they're so addicted to the screen. It's not even cell phones, it's tablets, it's computers, it's laptops. When we're addicted to the screen, there's something that we need to look at.
Basically it is, where are you putting your consciousness? What dimensional reality is going on in front of you when you're staring at that phone or you're staring at that tablet? I went out for lunch one day, and I'm sitting there in line waiting to place my order. Wanted to get some real nice Asian stir fry, and I'm sitting down, I'm looking at my phone, just kind of thumbing through things, and I lifted my head, and I kind of said, where am I? Where did I just go? And it was like, whoa, okay, something's going on with these devices. I felt like I was gone for like an hour. It was only like 30 seconds.
That's very funny. When I need to kill time, I play a Facebook game. I'm like, I got to wait 20 minutes. I'll play a game. It's over in 20 minutes. But the reality of it is that while it is important for us to be aware And I think that's the bottom line. We must be aware of what we're doing at every moment. It's called mindfulness. Don't get me wrong. I firmly believe in diversions. I believe in going to concerts. I believe in going to happy hour once in a while. Whatever you need as a human being to de-stress, to unwind, there's nothing wrong with that. And we shouldn't feel guilty for being a human being, but we also want to be aware of what we're putting into our consciousness and be vigilant of what we are allowing into our ears, our eyes, our mouth, our air, everything.
Well, it's called being grounded, right? It's like, yeah, as you said, go out for a couple brewskis with the boyskis once in a while. Every Monday night, I got my band over, and we're having a few drinks, and we're making music and having fun, cracking jokes, swearing, all kinds of stuff going on. And that keeps me grounded to where I was before I got into all this spiritual work, because it'd be very easy all of a sudden to be riding a cloud and a unicorn 24 hours a day doing this type of work.
Yeah.
Can you teach me how to do that?
That sounds fun.
But that's the thing. It's going out to happy hour or going to a concert is different than being totally sucked in. I call it the black mirror, 24/7. I mean, I literally know people who are experiencers or who claim to be awake who have the phone right next to their nightstand, and when they get up at night, they check Facebook or whatever. And so now they're getting the 5G. The EMFs are screwing with the thyroid and all of our organs and our energy fields. And so I feel like it's really sucking us into a negative altered dimension.
Yep.
It's the concept of trying to discern all this out. Okay, so now you've got smart meters, you got cell phones, you got 5G, you got Gwen towers. All this dirty energy is around us, and it's bombarding our electromagnetic fields. It's affecting our grounding. It's affecting the way we consciously perceive things. I always say that if these things cause you issues in your life, you're not grounded. So how do we ground? It's a lot more than just putting your feet on the dirt. It's grounding within your reality, grounding within the way you do things, grounding with your consciousness. Where do you put your consciousness? Grounding is a very specific thing for different parts of your body.
You hit the nail right on the head, Chris. I couldn't agree with you more. And that is where your healing work comes in, where all the people on the panel tonight, that's where that healing work comes in. When we are in constant, how shall we say, acceptance of universal life force energy or source energy, our chi remains balanced. All of those wonderful meridians, the blockages are removed, even when we are dealing with Wi-Fi routers and screens and smart meters and whatnot. Somebody said to me a couple weeks ago, "Oh, Bernard, you're not a vegan? How do you expect to ascend?" I was like, meat doesn't affect me. My I look young for my age. I have energy for like people beyond my age. And the reality of it is that I work on my consciousness into developing a constant flow of chi energy into my physical body. And like you said, being grounded is different for different people. That's what it means for me. Allowing Reiki energy, allowing chi energy to move through my body every single day intentionally. And I think that that's one method. Aligning with our higher self and allowing chi energy to move through us is a great method to use.
I think Ty and Nora know a lot about chi energy, don't you guys?
Yeah.
I've heard the term before.
Ty, the movement of this chi energy, wherever there is a blockage, does that create a problem within that person in that area?
Yes, it does. It can be basically a buildup, and then, anytime you have this kind of unhealthy, let's say high energy, but it's supposed to be moving, that can turn into kind of like a portal for what we call other types of consciousness or entities. Just any blockage in your chi is pretty much the definition of not being grounded. If you have your chi flowing and grounded, then you're going to be pretty balanced, and things, even EMF hitting you, will probably not affect your consciousness and your spirituality.
It'll just ground out of your body.
More or less. Some people are a little sensitive, but it's definitely if you aren't grounded, it's going to amplify it to uncomfortable levels like you wouldn't believe. So that's definitely a first step.
Holly, when you see somebody who is, let's say, out of touch with the dimensional energies, with the paradigm, what kind of problems do you see within them when they're out of touch?
You know, is what I see, is what I perceive to believe I see in people when they're out of touch, is they're not in their intuition, like a lot of people who are in line for the flu shots, or they're not concerned about GMOs, but they're more concerned about the next, I don't know, whatever is on TV, or the next really material object. And those people, in many, many cases, are the ones with all the health problems. And to me, the health problems do really ripple out into these negative dimensional areas. You know, your chakras are out of balance. You're not doing your inner work. You're not looking and shedding light on the pieces of your soul that need to be retrieved, or the energy that needs to be cleared, or even on an ancestral line. And you're just skipping around on the surface, getting by the next latest and greatest distraction.
It's all about finding that bit of satisfaction, that moment of, wow, that wonderful thing that happens, that just to release, as you said, that dopamine to get you a little bit of a high. What I normally find is that people, they have different levels of illness, okay? People who have let's say, a health problem that is always there, that never seems to go away, but it's more of an annoyance and a nagging type of thing. That is a second dimension problem. So here we are into different dimensions, different levels of energy. Ultimately, they're in a lower state of vibration. They're in connected to a second dimension. People who are in a health issue that is almost life-threatening, people who are in a depression that is close to suicide, and there's a lot of that around, they are in a first dimension reality. Now, the first dimension, I usually find that is the dimension of Moloch. Okay, Moloch is the demon of sacrifice. If you were to take your own life, let's say your energy, your source self would go to Moloch, it belongs to him. The second dimension is more of a reptilian, a low-level reptilian dimension where they feed off of your anxiety created by that illness. So that's where I kind of perceive the dimensional variations within us. Now, if you start going into higher levels of consciousness, let's say we're the third dimension, if we go into the fifth, the seventh, those odd numbered dimensions, now you're in a higher level of consciousness where your vibration is always high. And if you do get any kind of illness, it comes and goes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so I'm in a lot of different places because I have a lot of variety in my life. And the people, and I love all of my friends, and they all give me a lot of satisfaction to be around. But my friends that are not on the spiritual or awakening path, they are the ones with, or my clients as well, with the allergies, with the chronic illnesses. And it's amazing that my friends on the awakening path or the healing path, their manifestation skills are incredible. And you're right. If they get sick, it just comes and goes. It just passes like the wind. And the ability to move and dance through life's obstacles is so different than getting in this gridlock all the time when you're in this lower dimensional vibration. It's such a black and white polarity.
You hit the nail right on. I was going to say, Chris, you hit the nail right on the head. It's when we identify with the illness. It's when we identify with the allergy. Well, it's when we identify with our higher self. What we identify with, we become. So it's a matter of connecting with that and allowing that energy, well, the good energy, or actually that's here nor there, the healthy energy, the empowering energy to move through us. Again, it for me, I come from the 80s, so let me just say that out there. Put my age out there. I'm a little older than everybody here, probably.
Welcome to the club.
I come from the 80s, and I did that whole low vibration nightclub Miami Vice. I grew up in Miami in the 80s. You can only imagine. And the reality of it is that it was, for me, it was a part of my solution. However, it was when I began to identify with my spirit guides, when I began to identify with my higher self, that all of a sudden, all of these things that life was throwing at me, whether it be illness, and Chris, I think you know, I went through a really bad illness a couple of years ago. My appendix burst. I almost died a couple times, and I moved right through it. They're like, you should be dead. And I got through it just by connecting and acknowledging and perceiving the dimensional aspect of me that is healthy, that is eternal, and that is divine.
When you go into the doctor's office and the doctor says, you have asthma. Now you go home and you have asthma. I am asthma. I need my inhalers. I need this. I need that. And you become that dimension of that illness, that low level of it. I've had clients, I see them quite often, and I say, how are you doing today? Oh, I'm doing really good. It says, no, you're not doing good. You got MS, so you're not doing good at all. We need to fix that. Because they just assume that this is them. It's part of them. And they have to realize at the subconscious level that, no, you don't have to hold on to this. This does not identify you at that dimensional level. You need to shed it off, and we need to get you up to a higher level. Bernard, I want to ask you, what causes stress in your life?
In my life? Well, first of all, let me define stress. Stress is what we give to our attention to, or what we commit our attention to. So to answer it in that way, my schedule gives me stress. My calendar gives me stress. What I've committed to, what I said I'm going to do, I've got to be there. I got to be ready. I have to help that person. I've got to go to that event. I've got to do this. And just making sure that I stay in my integrity of following through on what I said I was going to say. Believe it or not, integrity gives me stress.
What I think of as stress is actually distraction. Stress is distraction. So what I do on a daily basis is I do what I can to get rid of all distraction out of my workday. So the biggest distraction, of course, is people needing an extra appointment when there is none. Book solid until June. How do I find this person an appointment? Well, you know what? Let's not worry about it. We'll find them an appointment eventually, so let's go to the next person and help them. So if you can take that distraction out of your life, then you have no stress. So stress equals distraction.
Yep.
Ooh, I like that.
Yep.
Here. And I've gone out of my way to remove some of that. I stepped down as the chairman of the local diversity center, and I am committed to enjoying some quiet time and me time. And I think that's one of the things that all of us in this world are missing. How much me time do we have? And when I say me time, I don't mean me time with my family or me time with my friends. I mean me time doing what I want to do when I feel like doing it, whether it's going to get a haircut, whether it's roller skating down the mountain, whatever it is that you feel like doing, even if it means laying on the couch and watching reruns of Roseanne, whatever works for you. BMX biking, whatever it is. How much me time? I've dealt with clients, and I really, really emphasize the need for meditation, even if it's only 10 minutes a day. And I've dealt with clients saying, oh, but my children and this and that. I said, you are allowed 10 minutes of me time. Lock yourself in the bathroom. Lock yourself in the closet.
Exactly.
Take a walk to the park, even if it's for 10 minutes. And I've committed to give myself at least one day a week of me time, and it's made a world of difference.
Yeah, I've got my band. It's a completely different scenario of my normal life. It's got nothing to do with my kids, nothing to do with my family. It's all got to do with me and what I want to get out of it. And it certainly is a great stress relief. So if you do have any stress built up, I hammer it onto my drums.
That's awesome. Ty and I, we took up some classes on African drumming, and it's so awesome. It's a great way to release a lot of the tension from, dealing with customers and all the healing work that we do, because sometimes it could get really tough dealing with all these lower dimensional beings.
Oh, yes.
So playing drums is totally awesome.
Oh, you know what? It brings you back to your roots. It's vibration, number one. It's a beat that your body can set a rhythm to. It gets your circadian rhythms back into play, and it helps you to realize there is a vibration of harmony that can be brought in just by doing stuff like that. Tapping your fingers on the table. You know, people will sit there and do that as like a nervous tapping, but no, you're recalibrating your cycles when you're doing that. You're resetting. I remember I'm lying in bed, and I look down, and I'm tapping on my thymus gland.
Wow.
It's like, what am I doing? I'm actually doing an EFT exercise, tapping on the thymus gland.
Awesome.
I was doing it subconsciously, didn't realize, and I thought, I guess my body must need that.
Yeah.
Any kind of rhythmic exercises. Walking is rhythmic. When you walk at the same pace all the time, you're resetting a lot of the systems in your body to your body clock.
Absolutely.
Hear, hear.
I totally agree with that. No, I because I'm a big snowboarder, and I think people don't give exercise enough credit in this healing community, but you are really moving that chi. You're moving it through your body. You're in a rhythm. I totally agree with you. And as far as you tapping on your thymus gland, I believe that we have this innate intelligence within our body that we know what to do. Like oftentimes I'll rub the acupuncture point on the top of my head. It's a crown point, and it connects everything in your body. I didn't know what I was doing until an acupuncturist told me that was a prime point for every acupuncture point in your body. So we have this innate intelligence to heal ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
The more so, it's understanding at that dimensional level that you are actually performing healing on yourself. So you come to that realization, you put yourself in that dimensional reality of healing, and you're going to put me and Ty out of business. Okay, we want.
If we get it, so we all live on the vacation planet, that'd be awesome.
That'd be so cool. We graduated.
The jerk chicken, yeah.
You know, on what you were saying about the healing and allowing ourselves to heal ourselves, and being that we're talking about multidimensional realities and multidimensional aspects of ourselves, I just want to acknowledge, and this is one thing I like to really get out there to everybody. We have a very hard time, those of us who are on this path, to try to be everything for everyone. We try to be the perfect vegan, the perfect meditator, the perfect exerciser, the perfect, healer, perfect. I can do everything. Meanwhile, I have no time, nor do I have the skill or the ability to want to do that. But what we can do is we can acknowledge that there are parallel realities in which we are completing every one of those things. On one reality, I'm a vegan. On one reality, I'm a 24-year-old snowboarder. In one reality, I am never angry. In one reality, I never have a beer. In one reality, you know what I'm saying? So we all have a connection to all of these realities. It's just a matter of perceiving those realities and connecting with our higher self, which is already connected to all of those realities, and allow that energy to come in and make us whole.
Absolutely.
So ultimately, on a Monday night when I come down here with my band members, I'm accessing another reality of me as a drummer.
Yes, absolutely.
So when I come down here and I start doing my work, I'm accessing that reality as a healer. When I go upstairs and kids are being little hellions, I'm accessing my reality of being a father. Because you have different consciousness about all the different things that happen in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the things that I like to talk about when we're talking about multiple realities is that the reality of it is our dimensional awareness changes, but a dozen times a day, easily. Mm-hmm. We are living in one reality when we get out of bed. We live in another reality when we're in our car driving to work. We live in another reality when we're at work. We live in another reality when we're at home with our family. We live in another reality when we're with our friends, and we're living in another reality when we're in meditation. We're living in another reality when the neighbor's playing their music too loud and you're getting pissed off that they invite you to the party. Our mood swings are something to be aware of, and I think that people give mood swings a really bad connotation. Your mood swings is your body and your spirit talking to you, either about something you don't want and you want to move away from, or something you do want and you need to move closer to. We live in multiple dimensions every single day.
So I think the biggest thing is understanding what is a dimension, what is reality, what is a parallel, what is a paradigm. And for most people who aren't awakened, they just kind of follow along with what's said on the science shows about dimension and universe. I mean, they all have a different interpretation to whoever is working with it. I think ultimately, of course, we need to educate people as to what all this stuff is. I mean, even what's the soul? What is the source self? What is source? And to everybody, it's a different thing. I think ultimately it's understanding what is your concept of things and how do you deal with it and how do you use it for your benefit.
Well, I think it's really interesting, too, as I work with my clients and as we hash out wounds from the past, they're able to access higher dimensions. And I think there's so many people out there who are just stuck in this think positive and just ask your angel that they're not looking at the real problem that needs to be fixed. And a lot of this is in our DNA, it's in our RNA, these programs that need to be adjusted and reprogrammed, but it's keeping us in those lower vibrational realms. And until we can switch that, we're just going to keep replicating the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the biggest things that does bring us into a lower dimensional realm is when we take things personally.
Yes.
That has everything to do with the ego, self-esteem, all those things that really eat at us because of our self-confidence may be low at number one, and somebody says something that affects when you take it kind of personally, that's what really brings you down. Then you look at yourself differently in a different reality as a lower person, as somebody who you're not. When you want to be looking at yourself as, whenever somebody calls me to say, how you doing, what do I say, Ty?
I don't know. What?
I'm perfect.
Oh, you do? Yes, you do.
Yes.
Sorry.
I always say I'm perfect. Not that I'm perfect, but things are perfect within my life. How are you? Perfect. Everything's perfect.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yep. Here. If I may add to that, is that I was taught, when I was trained as a shaman, I was taught that a shaman, we're speaking about consciousness and dimensions and perception, is that a real shaman has the ability to have one foot on the spiritual world, the mental world, the emotional world, and the physical world. Just being aware that there are all these different worlds gives you that ability to be grounded. Do not drive yourself crazy because you can't see them all at once. But if we can just adjust our consciousness to each one throughout our day, we're doing just fine.
Yeah.
We're doing perfect.
We're perfect.
If I can piggyback off that too, in my shamanic training, I think that's the key right there. Being grounded is to be able to walk in both worlds. Like you're dealing with multiple realities, just as Bernard said, you're dealing with multiple realities at once. And to be able to understand, just having that knowing that that's what is going on, that you're toggling in and out of different worlds is so helpful in moving forward. And that's why I've had a lot of different training, but I always go back for me to the shamanic training because it's the one that gets the best results and makes the most sense with wrapping all of the realities and dealing with them in this third dimension or this physical realm.
Here, here. I feel like we need to have a Humans Anonymous. You know, like the 12-step program. It's like step 1, I acknowledge I am a human being. You know, it's okay to be human. We're not going to be perfect, and that's okay for now.
Yep.
All of your good attributes, all of your downfalls, and all of the learning you've done in your life. If you let it bring you to a point where it's like, oh, I wish I would have done this different. I wish I would have done that different. It does bring you down into that lower dimension. But if you look at it as, you know what, I did that. It didn't turn out too great, but boy, oh boy, did I learn a lesson now, didn't I? I'll never do that again.
Yep.
Here,
Has a
here.
lot
That's
to do
called
with-
wisdom.
It has a lot to do with manifestation. So if you're wishing for something, you will get it. And people need to be very mindful of what they are thinking, what they're saying, and what they're manifesting.
And also on that note, to piggyback off that, be aware of what you were wishing in your past life, because I did not wish to do what I'm doing right now. And what I mean by that is that as a metaphysical teacher, I thought I was going to be this really cool, like, nightclub party organizer, and 20 years ago, I ended up doing this. So
Wow.
I must have asked for this somewhere along the line. So that's where past life regression comes in to be very helpful in all of this, which we haven't really touched on, but it's great to go in and see where that energy came from. It's something to think about.
His website is www.bernardalvarez.com. We're going to be back again in 2 weeks on A Quantum View. This is Chris Kaler. We're out of here.